G'day guys, how are we? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Tuesday, February the 11th, 2025. And I was just, before I started recording this video, I was just listening to the radio on my iPods, and not boxing related, but they were saying that now the government is going to introduce a billionaire's tax, 10% extra tax than what they currently pay. And I just got thinking, the governments, geez, you gotta love them. They waste billions of dollars on shit, no accountability, just waste it and wipe their hands and just move on to the next. Take no accountability or responsibility. They just say, well, let's just invent another tax. Who can we target next? All right, the billionaires. All right, they already pay a shitload of tax. Let's hit them with another 10% just to make up the shortfall. It just makes me laugh. I know there's probably people out there saying, oh, well, they can afford it, but should a billionaire who has worked hard to get their money and already pay far more percentage in tax than the average person, so they get taxed a lot, pay an extra 10% just because they can afford it? I'm not sure that's the Aussie way, but anyway, it seems to be the Aussie way now. Yeah, for all our incompetence, we'll just look at other people to tax. First of all, it was the, I don't want this to be a political rant, by the way, but just a quick chat about it. First of all, it was the second property tax. If you can afford to own a second property, it doesn't matter whether it's just, you've mortgaged yourself up the eyeballs just to have an investment once you retire or using your super, whatever, that doesn't matter. If you can afford to have a second property, we're going to hit you with some more tax to pay for all our incompetence during the pandemic. We gave away hundreds of millions of dollars. So we're not going to take responsibility for it. We're not going to pay for it. We're not going to find the money somewhere else. We'll just hit those people with second properties for extra money. But it just makes me laugh that this is the current climate we're in with our government. I got to love them, that. Yeah, all politicians are the same, by the way. Yeah, we'll just stuff things up, come straight out of high school or uni or wherever they come from, go straight into politics, have no idea about having a real job or the real world and what the average person goes through and how hard they work. We'll just get a job in politics and think we know everything about the world. Anyway, and how to spend everyone else's money. I just thought it was pretty funny as I was just walking along, and I had to mention it because it was literally just before I started to record this video. Now, first of all, a little bit of a glitch with last night's show with the Talking Boxing. Thank you to everyone that watched last night, but we have a problem. The show is gone off YouTube. Now, I don't know what happened. It was about half an hour after the show. I just happened to log in. I was looking at something and it said that the show was still live, even though it was shut off. So I went into the program and opened it up, closed the program down, and in turn, it deleted the show. So thank you to all the people that watched. We had a really good turnout to watch, but normally there's sort of a couple hundred people that will watch it sort of today or tomorrow or whatever. And yeah, unfortunately, you won't be able to watch it or listen to it on Spotify. So, and it just happened to be the best talking boxing ever. That's what I'm going to say anyway. But we had some good conversations, as always. Canelo Alvarez dominated proceedings last night. It was actually a bit of a mixed bag, actually, after probably the first hour. But for the first bit, it was all about Canelo and the week he's had. And we've probably gone over that a lot during the week. And who else is there? Was there been Nail in a way? There's... but anyway, it sort of got me thinking about some other, g'day mate, some other topics. And one of the topics that did come up was the February 22nd card. And this is the Riyadh card next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, 2 weeks time. Is it the greatest card of all? And we had a quick chat about it. I brought up one card, but what I've done today, I've had another look at some just cards straight off the top of my head, and a lot of them were Don King cards. Well, actually, I think most of them were. I'm just going to compare them, see what you reckon. I'll do that in a sec. The other thing that has been in the news a little bit, and I didn't really touch on it a lot in the last few days, is David Benavidez. Is he in the top pound for pound list now? I'm going to give my list. The list I think it was a Ring magazine or ESPN or one of those brought out their top 10 list. So I'll have a quick chat about that in a sec. And the other thing, if we get time, I wanted to have a chat about is with, it was good to, actually I'll start off with that. Isaac Hardman, it was good to see him back. Really good to see him on social, well he's not back, but he's on social media. And he's been on for a while, and it was really good to see the head splitter back, and he's putting out the challenge. He was not happy with no limit, I don't think, who he was obviously signed with, but he's put the challenge out to Andrei Mikhailovich, who's responded in kind that sort of let's get it on. And it got me thinking, not necessarily about those two guys, but with the Aussie boxing scene, who exactly is world class? I mean, Aussie boxing is in such a golden age at the moment, and we've had lots of big fights. I've talked about it a lot. I think we had, was it 20 or 21 fights last year involving an Aussie. That's world title fights, and whether we're going to have the same this year. But it just again got me thinking: who is like the real deal? I mean, there's a difference between those that will get a shot at a world title, because we saw Andrei Mikhailovich get a shot at a world title. I don't think he's anywhere near world class, but I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to risk all sorts of messages and phone calls and everything else about putting out there who in the Aussie boxing, who exactly is world class and capable of staying there and mixing it with the best. And it's probably easy to say, oh no, we've got this fight and that fight and that fight. No, well, I'm talking about not necessarily just getting a shot, because as I said, Mikhailovich got a shot and he's not world class. So hang on, that's him ringing now. No, it probably will be. It's nothing personal, by the way. I'm just going to give my opinion. We'll start with that anyway, and then hopefully I won't get those phone calls and messages, as I said. But if you start down the list of the pound-for-pound fighters in Australia, let's start with Jai Patai. Well, that's obvious that Jai is world-class. He's won the IBF belt twice now, showing that he is the best cruiserweight in the world. So absolutely no doubt in the world about Jai Patai. I've got no doubt that he will go to heavyweight at some stage, but I'm just waiting for that big fight with David Benavidez. That's the fight I think we're going to see down the track. That will be Jai's career-defining fight, I think. Will be fighting David Benavidez at some stage. I think Benavidez will either get tired of 175 or he'll win those fights at 175 if he doesn't fight Benavidez, that is, and maybe move up. So I think that's him. The other guys, I mean, I think the Maloney brothers, and I know that probably might cause some indifference out there, but look, both guys have proven that they are at the level. Both have won versions of the world title, whether it be world titles, interim titles, or both titles, whatever it might be, but they've mixed it with some of the best fighters in the world, fought in Vegas and Japan, and all over the world, these guys, and they've shown that they are world class and capable of mixing it with the best in the world consistently. So definitely put those in there. Now, the other ones, George Kambosos is the other one. Now, again, George polarises a lot of fans saying, well, he fluked it over Teofimo Lopez. Well, I'm not sure how you fluke a win over Teofimo Lopez. So he, in my opinion, even though he's arguably lost his last 4 fights, well, he's definitely lost 3 of them. But look at the competition, Haney and Lomachenko. But the fact that he was able to mix it with those guys, willing to take them on in the first place, bring the big fight to Australia, and still have those elite fighters in the world still calling him out, wanting to fight him. And don't take the Jordan fight. That's strictly a comeback tune-up fight, so don't stress about that. The Richardson Hitchens out there, the Teofimo Lopez's, even the Ryan Garcias, they all want a piece of George. So it proves that he's still in the mix, and I think he can still, I'm not going to say he's going to beat those guys, but I definitely think he can mix it with the best in the world, and is still a top 10 world contender. In my opinion. And then, look, this is where it gets a little bit, is it controversial? I'm not sure. Definitely up for debate. Someone like a Tim Tszyu. Now, who would have thought a year ago we would even be questioning whether Tim is a legitimate world-class fighter? Now, I think he is world-class. I just have doubts, and I'm hoping those doubts will be dispersed or eliminated once he gets back into the swing of things. But the proof is in the pudding that last year, I know the Fundora fight had extenuating circumstances, but the way he was blown away by Bakram Murtazalov, whether it was just a one-off or it showed us where Tim really lies in the scheme of things, that remains to be seen. So I'm probably putting in a bit of a caveat on Tim, that I think he's a world-class fighter, capable of mixing it with the best, but really at the moment, it's really just showing that he's probably a 5 to 10 ranked fighter in the world, not in that top sort of 4 or 5 that we all thought he was. So look, I'm hoping he will change that, of course, but the jury is out for me still on Tim Tszyu, whether he's actually capable of getting back at the level he was at the level, but he never actually won those big fights at the level. He didn't beat Fundora in the end, regardless of circumstances, and he certainly didn't beat Murtazaliev. And before that, let's just say the opposition were, they'd been around the world class, but whether they were actual world class fighters themselves remains to be, I suppose, to be debated. But let's just hope that I think he gets back, but I think let's just hope he can prove a lot of people wrong and be that fighter that can consistently fight at this level. And then, look, the others out there, look, Sam Goodman, I'm not sure. Again, we haven't seen him. I was just going to say we haven't seen him at that really elite level. Not his fault, of course, with the cut. But I think it's not it is a strong division, but not as deep as some of the other divisions out there. So I think he's a world-class fighter. I'm just not sure whether it's in the top 4 or 5 in the world, whether he's capable of mixing it with those guys. Maybe the 6 to 10 onwards, maybe, but that 1 to 5, I'm just not sure. And that's, look, if I'm being honest, guys, that's probably about it. I know that will probably upset a few people, and a lot of people disagree with that, but the fighters, I think, are the only legitimate ones in the world. Now, Liam Paro's, of course, sorry, the other one. Here's another one in the Tim Tszyu boat. Had a fantastic win over Sabriel Matias to prove that he's capable of winning fights at the level. But the fight with Hitchens was very, very disappointing, and now he's got to prove that he's able to get back there. Talent-wise, all the talent in the world. Again, he's proven that he can win at the level, so we'll say yes to him. But is he going to be able to actually get back to the level and compete against those top guys at 140? It's another asterisk, a little bit like the Tim Tszyu situation for me. So, yeah, what do you think? After that, I just don't think... we might have fighters like Liam Wilson's fought, obviously, for world titles. Michael Zarafa's fought for world titles. But are they really world-class, legitimate fighters? It's up for debate. And I really... I'm a big fan of Liam. I'm not trying to disparage him at all. I'm just sort of telling it the way it is. But that's sort of where I see it with the Aussie boxers at the moment. Let's just hope a lot of them can step up. They've never had more opportunities to shine. So let's see if a few of them can, get on the board. So what do you guys think about that? The other one, what did I say about Benavidez being top 10 now? I think it was ESPN rankings had, and the top 3 can be in any order. It was Usyk, Crawford in a way. Then I think it was Beterbiev, Bivol, Canelo, Jesse Rodriguez at number 7. Then I think it was Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, and David Benavidez. Now, I think Tank Davis is arguable. Probably, look, he's not active enough for me. Hasn't had enough wins, but maybe around the mark. Shakur Stevenson, absolutely not. I don't think he's a top 10 pound for pound. Nowhere near it. And David Benavidez, I think if David Benavidez has got to be in there, I think Jai Patai has got to be awfully close, surely. I would have Junto Nakatani in there for sure. Look, everyone's list always going to be different for different reasons. I think we can all agree on the top probably 7 being sort of set in stone. But I would definitely have Junto Nakatani in there. But Shakur Stevenson, definitely not. Maybe David Benavidez would sort of sneak in there at the expense of someone like a Tank Davis. It's a difficult conversation, I suppose. But, I haven't done a top 10 for a while. But I think the top 7 are pretty much set in stone. But what do you think about the David Benavidez inclusion? Arguable. Let's just say, I'm going to put him in there ahead of... I'll keep him in there, but I'll probably have Shakur Stevenson out for Nakatani. And that's just off the top of my head. I'll have to have a bit more of a think about it. But the other one that I wanted to talk about, as I said, is those fight cards. Now, I've got my fight cards at the ready. Now, let's just have a look. The Riyadh card has got, 7? I'm just going to have to open my phone here. Has got 7, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 title fights on it. Not all world title fights. Some of them are interim fights, and I don't know what the hell that is screaming up in the trees there, a bird or something. But look at the top liners. You've got Arda Beterbiev and Bivol, super fight. These are the ones that I think are really legit, great fights. Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, Virgil Ortiz, Israel Madrimov. They're probably the big 3 for me. Okay, Adames and Shiraz, okay. Stevenson and Schofield, okay. Zile Zhang, Caballel, look, it'll be an entertaining fight, but is it a really big fight? So, and then the other ones are Boatsy and Smith is the other one on there. There's a 10-rounder on there as well. So I'm going to compare that to, where is it? Some of the other ones. All right, I went through one last night. I'm not sure which one it was. Let's have a look at this one. This is the first Tyson Razor Ruddock fight at the Mirage in Vegas back in 1991. So Mike Tyson, Razor Ruddock. Oh, sorry, I'll just backtrack a bit. Someone asked, has there been a card bigger than Riyadh? This is why I'm going through this. All right, so we had Mike Tyson, Razor Ruddock. We had Simon Brown, Maurice Blocker for the welterweight title. Julio Cesar Chavez, John Duplessis. Now, Duplessis was a very highly ranked lightweight contender back in the day. Then we had Roberto Duran, he fought Pat Lawler. Bernard Hopkins fought on that card as well. So I would think those top three would compare with probably the top three of the other one, but I'm still going to give just the pass mark just to the Riyadh card on that one. The next one, this is a really good one. This was in 93. So we had Julio Cesar Chavez, Greg Haugen in Mexico. We had Azuma Nelson, Gabriel Rules. We had Terry Norris, Maurice Blocker. And also on that card, we had Michael Nunn, we had Gerald McClellan, we had Felix Trinidad, all on that card. So that would compare. The only problem with it, the main event being Chavez and Haugen, probably didn't obviously measure up to Bivol and Beterbiev, but that is a solid card. The next one, also in 93. I like this. This is the one I actually mentioned last night. Julio Cesar Chavez, Terence Ali, very good fight. Lennox Lewis, Tony Tucker for the heavyweight title. Gerald McClellan, Julian Jackson. And on that card also was Hector Camacho and Meldrew Taylor. I think that card definitely compares. I know the main event is going to be really hard to follow with Beterbiev and Bivol, but looking at the whole card, I think Lewis and Tucker is a better fight than what Dubois and Parker is. Chavez and Ali, I think, is a better fight than Madrimov and Ortiz. And I think Gerald McClellan, Julian, that's the fight I said, was it? McClellan and Jackson is better than Ortiz and Madrimov. So I think that's going to come close, guys. I've got one more here, I think. No, I've got a couple more. The other one, right, Julio Cesar Chavez, Frankie Randall, Simon Brown, Troy Waters, Hector Camacho, Felix Trinidad. Thomas Hearns was on the card. Meldrick Taylor was on the card. So there's some really good fights there. That was the fight that actually Randall beat Julio Cesar Chavez. But have Camacho and Trinidad as the main support, Simon Brown, Troy Waters, and then to have Thomas Hearns on the undercard as well with Meldrick Taylor. Very good card. I think that would match up with the Riyadh card as well. And then the other one, this is a couple of rematches there actually. Chavez and Randall, number 2. McClellan, Julian Jackson, number 2. Azuma Nelson, Jesse James Lahar. Simon Brown, Terry Norris. And also on that card, Meldrick Taylor fought as well, Calvin Grove. I think that card would, in my opinion, is a better card than Riyadh as well. Gerald McClellan, Julian Jackson, Julio Cesar Chavez, Frankie Randall, Azuma Nelson, Jesse James Lahar, and Simon Brown, Terry Norris. I'll probably rest my case on a couple of those. So, look, I don't know, it's each to their own. But I think there's a difference with the Riyadh card of having a stacked card compared to having a quality card. And in my opinion, there's only really 3 really big fights on that card, being obviously the main event, Parker and Dubois, and Madrimov and Ortiz. I think the rest of the card is solid. It's great. Look, it's a stacked card, make no mistake, but is it at that stellar level of the other cards? I don't think so. So each to their own. I just was asked last night, is there any cards that compare to that? And I think I've mentioned just 2 or 3 that would, in my opinion, easily compare to the Riyadh card. Because again, it's not just about the amount of fights or title fights on the card, it's the quality. And only 3 of those Riyadh cards really get me pumped. The others are like, yeah, okay, they'll be good. But, I mean, on those other ones, imagine having, what was some of the fights there, McClellan and Julian Jackson, just the wars, and Chavez and Randall and Camacho, Trinidad, and Tucker and Lewis, a big heavyweight fight back in the day. So anyway, it's all arguable, isn't it? We all have our own opinions, but you wanted mine, and there it is. So guys, that's going to do it for today. what is it today? Tuesday. So look, hope you have a great day. Apologies again if you were looking to either watch or listen to Talking Boxing from last night, but let's hope it doesn't happen again in the future. So guys, have a great day and we'll catch you tomorrow.